Hey y'all, homegirl really showing off that she was a virgin. Y'all already know this ain't in America, we ain't got no virgins. Hey y'all, homegirl really showing off that she was a virgin. Y'all already know this ain't in America, we ain't got no virgins. Hey y'all, homegirl really showing off that she was a virgin. Y'all already know this ain't in America, we ain't got no virgins.
All right, shalom. Shalom, shalom, Shabbat, shalom. First and foremost, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai. Call Halayim La, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahahak Wadash. Double honors to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David, beginning with the 144,000 and the rest of the men, women, and children out of the 12 tribes whom Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, will ultimately have mercy upon. I'm your brother Montezabath, resigning from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Melbourne, Australia. And I saw this clip, all right, of this woman who just consummated her marriage. And as you can see on the screen here, she comes out, which the scriptures calls it the token of virginity, which gives proof to the village, all right, that the woman indeed, during the time that she was presented to her husband, was a virgin. Okay. And, Jake, posted it. And what made it funny as I was watching this was when he said, we ain't got no virgins in America like that. And that's absolutely true. All right, because Babylon, be that of the mother of all whores, the mother, the whore, the mother of all harlots, Salakia, okay, teaches you the practices of do as thou wilt. All right, they teach you that be whoever you want to be, go out and do it with whoever you want to do it with and stuff before you settle down, so that by the time you do settle down, you didn't already been ran through. You see. Now, I don't know what particular culture this is or whatnot. All right. But this just goes to show you, all right, that you still have cultures that implement this practice, because this was widely known in ancient Israel. All right. And so what I want to do is I want to get some scripture backing that up. Again, I'm going to go into the GNBDC. All right. Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter. And as you can see here, the title says at the top, laws concerning sexual purity. And we're going to start at verse 13. It says, suppose a man marries a woman and later he decides he doesn't want her. So he makes up false charges against her, accusing her of not being a virgin when they got married. If this happens, the woman's parents are to take the blood-stained wedding sheet that proves she was a virgin, and they are to show it in court to the town leaders, okay, or else the elders of the community. And her father will say to them, I gave my daughter to this man in marriage, and now he doesn't want her. He has made false charges against her, saying that she was not a virgin when he married her. But here is the proof that my daughter was a virgin. Look at the bloodstains on the wedding sheet. Then the town leaders are to take the husband and beat him. They are also to fine him 100 pieces of silver and give the money to the woman's father, because the man has brought disgrace on an Israelite woman. Moreover, she will continue to be his wife, and he can never divorce her as long as he lives, right? All right. Because that was the least that at the end of the day, you've humbled that woman. All right. But you also brought shame to the father's household by trying to bring in a form of defamation. Right now, what is defamation when you look it up? Okay. Defamation, it says from the 1300th century, disgrace, dishonor, ill repute, senses now obsolete. It says here, to spread abroad by ill report, make a scandal of. All right. A report, a rumor, to speak, to say. from late 14th century as the wrong of injuring another's reputation without justification. All right, as calumny, slander, and instance of defaming. All right, and see back then in the ancient world, you this was a law put in place because you had men that would actually do that, man. All right, you have men that would actually do that. Now, when you read on verse 20, it says to finish this off, but if the charge is true and there is no proof that she was a virgin, then they are to take her out to the entrance of her father's house, where the men of her city are to stone her to death. And she has done a shameful thing among our people by having intercourse before she was married. All right, because why? If you were betrothed, all right, and see, we got to break it down because you'll have Christians, they'll use this thinking that sex before marriage is a sin, and that's not what it's talking about in this case. But what it's talking about in this case, when you understand the custom, if you are found to be betrothed, all right, or promised or engaged to a man, and you step outside of that engagement by sleeping with another man, then you have essentially committed adultery. All right, that's what it's going into. All right, because sex is marriage. All right, what consummates a marriage? Consummation means to seal, pretty much to seal the deal. So let's take it, from this standpoint in modern day term. You get engaged, all right, but 9 times out of 10, you're already popping her. Okay. So technically she's yours, but what you guys are doing is you're waiting for the actual wedding day because you're getting married by the state. And so when you go, you do the whole ceremony or whatnot, you put the ring on each other's finger, whatever the case may be, which is a heathenistic custom, by the way. And then furthermore, all right, you say what I do. I now pronounce you man and wife, husband and wife, whatever. You may kiss the bride. And then what happens? You go off to what you call your honeymoon, okay, which is a full moon cycle away. And then usually during that time, okay, you will be popping your woman. That's really what you're supposed to do to consummate the marriage. All right. But you was already popping her before y'all even got married. You see? So everything is backwards within this society, man. All right. Because the word, when you look up the word, now let's go back to the etymology. Let's look up sex. Right. Now, when you look this up, and the definition really starts here. All right, because it just doesn't mean the gender, but it says succus seems the more original formation, but it is strange that the older text only knows sexes. The modern meaning of sexual division suggests that sexus might derive from saccare to sever, but the morphology remains unclear. Does sexus go back to an S present sex to cut up, or was it derived from a form sex of the putative S stem underlying secus? Because really, it means to divide or to cut. All right, which is right here. It goes back to this word here. All right. I don't know. Yeah, saccare, which means to divide or cut. Okay. That's really what it means. So when you go to a woman to lay her down and you have intercourse with her, essentially what you have done is you've cut through her hymen. Okay. And when you cut through a woman's hymen by inserting your rod, okay, in her, you've now sealed and consummated the marriage. You see? So now let's go from there to, I'll see if I brought it up here. All right. So I put in what was the token of virginity in the ancient world. It says in the ancient world, particularly within ancient Israelite culture, the token of virginity was often a blood-stained cloth, typically a bed sheet or garment, resulting from the consummation of a marriage on the wedding night. All right. So notice they put the word consummation there, which we spoke about. And when you go into it, it says the action of making a marriage or relationship complete by having sexual intercourse. That's why I said a lot of y'all today, before you even have the marriage ceremony, you've already lived together, you were engaged. So throughout that engagement period, you were already having sex. You were already having intercourse. So technically, you're already married. That's why we say sex is marriage, because what consummates a marriage? Intercourse. So it says, this blood was believed to be a physical sign of the bride's virginity, signifying that her hymen had been broken during intercourse. This token was presented as evidence to prove the bride's virginity, especially if the husband later claimed she was not a virgin upon a marriage. It also brings me back to a movie that was called, let me see if I can find it here. Once were, right, Once were warriors. Okay. And if you brothers, man, this film right here was on another level, man. I highly suggest you brothers watch this movie. But in this movie, for those of you brothers who have seen it, you know where I'm going with this. This woman right here, all right, the one right there, that's the daughter, and the woman to the left, that's her mother. Now, the daughter in this movie, all right, she gets raped, okay? And what happened was her uncle is the one that actually did the act. Now, I'm not going to give it too much away. I'm just going to say there's a scene where after the incident happened, she went into their bathroom and she tried to make a bath for herself, and she was pretty much bleeding everywhere because he had just performed that act. So essentially, he broke her hymen. Okay. And it was blood everywhere. Okay. And like I said, this is a very good movie. I highly recommend you watch this movie. But I'm just using that base of that scene, what actually happened to her, to show you that when you are a virgin, okay, this is what happens when your hymen is cut through. That's why it's called sex, all right, which means to divide or to cut. And her mother, the woman that's on the left screen, obviously she came into the bathroom because she thought something was wrong. And when she came in and saw her daughter in the bathroom and she saw the blood in the water, she thought her daughter had just gotten her monthly period, her cycle. All right. And obviously the daughter was embarrassed, and she pushed her mother out of the bath, told her pretty much to get out and whatnot. All right. But nevertheless, let's come back here. It says, this token was presented as evidence to prove the bride's virginity, especially if the husband later claimed she was not a virgin upon marriage. Right. Let's go through this. It says, symbolic importance. Virginity held significant social and legal importance in many ancient cultures, especially in the context of marriage and family reputation. You see that? And this is key, because remember, in the law, it tells us, let me see if I can get it. Daughters. Is it harlot? Harlots. What's that law? Let me see. Leviticus. Is it 19? Let me take this off real quick. Salakia. Let me find it. Might be 21 or 20. Salaki, I'm trying to find it. There's a law about let me see here. Oh man, this app, Esau. Let me see here, Salakia. Let me just try to see if I can find it. All right, give me 1 second. I gotta find this now. Harlot. Let me see. Leviticus. No. And I might be wording it the wrong way. That's probably why. Let me see. Let me type it in Google real quick. Cause where in Leviticus? Yeah, Leviticus 19 and 29. All right, that's where it is. Leviticus 19:29. Yeah, okay, do not prostitute. It says Leviticus 19:29. Salakia for having to go through all of that. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness. But see, this is what's going on amongst our women right now, the daughter of Zion, because number one, we're under the curses. And when you go to, what is it, Amos chapter 7, verse 17, it says, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, thy wife shall be an harlot in the city. That's why the dude in the video, he was laughing. He was like, we ain't got this in America, right? You know why? Because majority, not all, but majority of every wife in America is a harlot. They basically prostitute themselves by riding, as the elder Malcolm says, they are riding the cock carousel. All right. So really, if you want a good shot on getting a woman that's a pure virgin, you gonna have to go to the East, because you ain't gonna find that in the West. All right. It's very rare you're gonna stumble across, all right, a woman that's a virgin and being in the West, man. You better off with your chances by going to the way of the East. Right? So let me see. Let me read this again. Amos 7 and 17. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, thy wife shall be an harlot in the city, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword, and thy land shall be divided by line, and thou shalt die in a polluted land. And Israel shall surely go into captivity forth of his land. And that happened to us, man. Okay? That happened to us. All right? Let's go into this word harlot in the Hebrew.
Strong's H2181. Zana.
All right. It says to commit fornication, be a harlot, play the harlot, to be a harlot, act as a harlot, commit fornication, to commit adultery, to be a cult prostitute, to be unfaithful to power. All right. It says here, Strong's definition, highly fed and therefore one time to commit adultery, usually of the female and less often of simple fornication, rarely of involuntary ravishment. Okay, which goes into grape, figuratively to commit adultery. All right, it says the Israelite people being regarded as the spouse of Yahweh, because you have carnal adultery. All right, and then you have spiritual fornication, which is the worshiping of other gods. All right, that's what it goes into. So you have fornication from a carnal aspect, where fornication goes into adultery. All right, and then you have spiritual fornication, which we're currently married to the Heavenly Father through Yahweh Shai. So if we leave off from our husband and we go and worship other deities, other gods, then that's us committing spiritual fornication. Just so you know. All right. So there you go. So it was prophesied that our wives will become harlots. All right. Commit adultery. All right. And that's still going on today. So coming back to this physical proof, it says the blood-stained cloth was presented as a tangible evidence of the bride's virginity, serving as a legal defense against accusations of premarital sexual activity. All right. And imagine if such a law, you know, was pretty much, what's the word I'm looking for? Imagine if that law came into place in Babylon or Great America. That would stop a whole lot of, that first and foremost, that would stop a lot of the shenanigans that's going on in relationships. That would stop a lot of women doing what they're doing and men doing what they're doing. All right. And really everything will be in order, because if you had the situation with grape, all right, which a lot of brothers have a problem with, but that was our law on how to deal with it. Okay. Imagine if that law was in America today. Okay. A lot of brothers would think twice about doing that, because one, they would either be unalived. Okay. Or two, if she wasn't betrothed to anyone, they would not only have to pay the father, but they have to take care of that woman for the rest of their life. Okay. That's order. There's no shame in that when you understand. Going on, it says cultural context. Understanding the cultural and historical context is crucial. Modern medical understanding of the hymen differs from the ancient belief that its presence was a universal indicator of virginity. All right. And, when it says modern medical understanding, because nowadays, you try to talk to people who don't have the understanding, they'll look at you crazy like, huh? No, we don't do that. Times have changed. Right. But the scripture says, seek ye the old paths, man. OK. Ask the elders, ask the fathers, and they shall tell thee. We supposed to seek ye the old paths. It says other cultures, while the blood-stained cloth was prominent in some cultures, other societies may have used other customs or rituals to confirm the consummation of marriage and, by extension, a woman's virginity, according to a review of marriage customs in Greece and Rome. Now, you also, and I brought this out, let's come back over here to Once Were Warriors to see Ace Ventura scene when the wife was found not to be a virgin. All right. She is not a virgin. Ending scene. Go and watch that scene. All right. Matter of fact, let me see if I can go to it. Fair use.
What's Daddy saying?
Well, I think he's saying she's not a virgin.
They can tell that.
Started chasing his ass. Anyway. Oh man, that movie, man. Yeah, y'all gotta watch that. But Wakati Princess, right? Let's go into it. The Wakati Princess. So in the scene, y'all already know she does the virgin dance. All right. And let's have a quick read. All right. It says the princess is the daughter of Wakiti chief and the sister of Prince Uda, with her being the focal point of being a bride in an arranged marriage that will bring peace between her tribe and the rival tribe of the Wakutus. All right. And that happened. And that happened a lot during the ancient world. Right. But when it came to the other heathen nations, the Lord told us not to make marriages with them. All right. And if we were to deal with them, if you were to take their women as concubines, which you legally were allowed to do so, they had to come to subjection unto our power, which was Yahweh. And we had to tear down their groves and their worship of their deities. All right. We were not to make marriages with them so that it can be peace between us and them. No, they were made to be subjects unto us, man. All right. It says, though initially accepting her fate, the princess was internally very displeased by this arrangement, as she was dissatisfied with being used as a pawn for a greater goal. OK, and see, that's another thing, because back then, especially in our culture, the woman didn't have to say. And like Elder Apostle Tahar says in many of his videos, all right, the woman, you didn't have a say. So And it's going to be like this in the kingdom, but you're going to be in your righteous mind anyway when the kingdom comes. But let me just say this to hit the nail on the point. Back then in the ancient world, you didn't buck up. Okay. You didn't, you really couldn't have, you didn't really have a say. All right. If your father found this man or whatever the case may be, that's what it was, man. You had no say in the household. You see? So it says, however, when Ace Ventura enters the scene to help her tribe find the sacred white bat, Shikaka, she sees him as a possible outlet for her unresolved feelings. She is very upfront with her attraction to him from the onset, as she does the rare virgin dance of seduction on Ace to entice him. The princess planned on having sex with Ace once they were alone together, giving the excuse of never pleasing a man in her life and wanting to practice on Ace before she is married. Ace rebuffs her, saying he is a celibate man and does not partake in pleasures of the flesh. She once again tried seducing him by removing her shawl to reveal her breast to him, but Ace backed down from her offer once again, yet complimented her on how nice they looked. Ace is later seen immediately regretting turning her down as he is masturbating to a skirt, likely to belong to the princess, until he is interrupted by Fulton. It is indicated, however, that Ventura did eventually take her virginity, as during the end of the movie, he took her offer of practice before she was married. This angered her new husband, Tiny Warrior, that was his name, during their wedding night. You see that? Because what you were meant to do was, let's get an example. Now let's go to Genesis. And I believe it's is it 26 or no? 24th chapter. Yeah. All right. Is it the 24th? No. It's later than that. Salakia, bear with me. Genesis 28. Is it Genesis 28 or no, it's not Genesis 20. Let me find this. Genesis. Okay, I had it right. 24. All right. 24th chapter. And let me go up. This is a long one. All right, let me see here. Let me see. Did I do this right? Salakia, Akim, bear with me. This is, 28th chapter. That's the one I want. All right. So when you deal with, or is it the 27th chapter? Might be the 29th chapter. Yeah, here it is. 29th chapter. Salakia for that. Now, Laban's treachery. Now, Jacob, when you go in our go through the history, Jacob wanted Rachel, right? But what Laban did was he gave him his eldest daughter, which was Leah. So in our culture, when you come back to this, all right, when it talks about when she met her to be husband, Tiny Warrior, during their wedding night, all right, basically they had to go into what we call back then the bed chambers, right? But before the bed chambers, you had what was known as the ceremony. And we're going to get that here in Genesis, the 29th chapter. It says, verse 21, and Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. See that? To do why? To consummate the marriage, because sex is marriage. It says what? And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. That's why today, you know, when you have your wedding ceremony, you'll have the ceremony and then you'll go to the banquet hall, they call it, where you sit down and have a good feast to feed and celebrate or whatever. And then afterwards, verse 23, And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. So they would have went into the bedchamber, okay, to consummate the marriage. All right. Same thing here. When she came that evening, because when you watch the movie, they had the feast and everything, they celebrated. But then later, when at the in the evening, when her husband went into the tent to consummate the marriage, okay, that goes back to the ancient custom. He would have, opened her up and found out, hey, she ain't got no hymen, okay? It's easy access, it's open. What's going on here? You see, she ain't supposed to know how this feels, what's going on. All right. So, yeah. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, that's all on that. But this here, all right, this just goes to show you that this ancient custom still exists, man. All right. And imagine if they had that, all right, in Babylon the Great America today. What would this place be like? Inside jokes. So anyway, yeah, that's all I wanted to get on today. I thought that this was very interesting to see this. And I said, you know what, let me do a quick lesson on this to show you that, yeah, man, this is a ancient custom of ours. All right. So with that, I pray that this lesson was edifying, and you Akim and you few Aquathium listen and learn something. And I want to give all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash. And double honors to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David. And so on to the next, Lord's will. Shabbat Shalom.